living food, so amazing. Eat life. Hi guys, welcome to Live Light Well. As you can see, I've got a beautiful bouquet of lettuce here in front of me. Today I'm going to show you some life hacks for living with the Gerson therapy and washing and prepping your fruits and vegetables for everyday life. This is something that a lot of people struggle with. They say, you know, it's too hard, it's too much work, or it takes too long. Well, guess what? You're going to live longer if you do this, so you do have the time to do it. We'll start by washing the vegetables first, what I wash them in, and which vegetables and fruits I wash together, and then how to store them in the fridge so that you can easily access the fruits and vegetables to juice them in the morning, like within anywhere from 10 minutes to half an hour of juicing, depending on how much you're doing. All right, let's get started. So we're just going to start by washing all of the citrus fruit together. This is obviously fruit with a thick skin on it, so I'm washing it in Castile soap with, you know, lukewarm kind of to cool water. Yes, it's always a symphony of color. Just brings joy to my life looking at this every day. So I just rinse them off here in the bottom, rinse all the soap off. Just because we touch, you know, when you're slicing up your oranges and so on, we touch them. So, and then we touch other foods. So that's why, you know, you've got to even wash these kinds of food. And you just put them all in the dish drainer, let them air dry, and then once they're all dry, you just put them in a bowl. And it's always a symphony of color, right? So I've got to wash all of these. I've got Jamaica, carrots, burdock root, Swiss chard, all of these things I have to wash. So I always wash everything in vinegar, or I do use MMS. So either one of those. You can also use iodine, and you can use peroxide. So those are the choices. So I always make sure I wash the sink out with some soap and some bleach after I've done the vegetables and fruits that keep their skin on them. Because we don't want any carryover, just in case there's any, just to eliminate any residue. I start with the leafy vegetables, and I like to just do an initial showering off. So with the spray, just to get off any surface stuff, because it just reduces the amount of residue that's going to be in there. Notice how the drain is still open. Dandelion leaves are so good for the liver. And you know, sometimes I'll cut this off, but not, just so that when we put it in the big bowl for the bouquet, it will have, it'll be able to access the water. And I always juice these parts. Really, it's almost a cup of apple cider vinegar. Because it's really quite cheap. So white vinegar. And this is a time when it's okay to use white vinegar. Not good for internal use, not the best, but it's great for this. And I will open up some of these leaves. Some of them I will not, you know, but I'm basically going to drench everything in water. I've thrown the apples in here as well because it's just the skin that is being cleaned on the apples, and I always juice them or I may put them in my porridge in the morning. So, and then the cauliflower I put in as well because I usually make a cauliflower roast with all these other cruciferous vegetables. So these are all things that I will put my tongue on, literally, perhaps. So I wash them all together. Other things like carrots, which you peel, and potatoes, root vegetables, Jerusalem artichokes, those kinds of things I wash separately and I scrub them. So these don't generally require scrubbing. You can just give them a quick initial wash with a spray, and then they're good to go with the final cleansing with the vinegar. So now we're going to shift these all into the dish drainer. And it's okay not to rinse off the vinegar because it's still detoxifying everything. Because it's actually the water that still has pathogens in it. The vinegar is cleaning the water, so we don't rinse it. And the same in the case of any other natural cleaner that you're using, which probably why, you know, you have to use an internal use peroxide if you're using that. Like, everything has to be internal use, and that's why the MMS is good. But I use vinegar, which is a standard that everyone knows. So some of the things like this lettuce, I will still just fan out a little bit, but I don't want to get too much in there because it helps it to preserve the lettuce, to keep it closed. But I do fan it out so that the vinegar can get in there. And again, I'll cut those ends off to put it in my bouquet. And I'll do a little bit with the same with the parsley and cilantro. We have all my fruits in some fruit bowls. So there is my pile of vegetables. So I'm going to recycle some of this old water because we don't want to be too wasteful. You see, I'm putting all these kind of root-like vegetables in together because they're generally pretty dirty. So that's why if I had potatoes, I do have potatoes actually, I would put some of them in here too. So that's what's going in this recycled water. It's mainly root vegetables in there, and I'm not putting too many potatoes because I use organic potatoes and I don't want them to sprout from any moisture, because I had these up on the shelf for like these ones here for like a day, and they're already sprouting. So that's how I know they're organic, praise God, but at the same time I don't want to help them unless I want to help them. So here's my Jerusalem artichoke. I've got my burdock root, obviously my carrots. I probably have beets in here if I was eating them. I've got my ginger root, which I haven't been using a lot of lately because I've had a lot of heat in my body. And of course, anti-inflammatory, lovely, beautiful turmeric. So, and this is some Jamaica, that is another one of the wonderful, along with Jerusalem artichokes, great prebiotics. So, trying to keep those in my diet as much as possible. So now I am going to scrub everything. I don't have my scrubbing brush, so unfortunately I'm using my juicer brush, but I think I threw it away in plans of getting another one, and every time I go to the store I forget to. So, you know, something that is a pet peeve of mine is these sticky labels on organic food. It's like, okay, the amount of toxins that you try to remove doing organic food, you've just added back in with glue. So I don't like that. If anyone has a hack for that, I'd love to get it. So yeah, so just scrubbing everything down. Now these are all things I'm going to peel, or the refuse of which will, you know, go into the juicer or what have you. So, so it's okay if they're just moderately clean. I'm going to do a much better scrubbing job off camera because I don't want to bore you too much with scrubbing vegetables, right? Even though we like to watch people work. So I'm going to scrub a little bit more, then drain it out. So now I'm showering everything off after I gave everything a good scrub. See, the label's still on there. Help me, people. Help me with that. Okay, so adding some vinegar. I've given that a few showers and a few shallow baths in vinegar water. Forgot I also have these celery root and yams, which are amazing sources of inulin as well, prebiotic. So I'm going to let those dry a bit while I build my bouquet with you. Juicing my greens juicing bouquet. Let's get started. So I filled this bowl with just a bit of reverse osmosis water, distilled water. I've also filled this glass, crystal glass, with distilled reverse osmosis water as well. Now I'm going to add some chlorophyll to the water, just a bit. Not chlorella, but chlorophyll. I don't use chlorella at all. So then we return to our lovely, luscious green vegetables and red multicolored bliss. I'm going to start to place the leaves in here where they can get water. I'm going to cut this off so that the plant can access the water. And with respect to the asparagus, I'm going to cut just the basic ends of these off. I'm not going to snap them off because they'll naturally break off at the perfect place to eat them, but I'm not ready to eat them. So I'm just wanting to give the plant access to water. So I'm just going to cut off maybe a centimeter of this, which is basically like ½ an inch for you Americans. So I cut the ends off the asparagus, and now I'm going to put them in this glass of water. And so there's your asparagus bouquet. And I'm just going to add a little bit more water to it. See? So I've given it a lot of water. And so here is my Swiss chard, which I will also layer in there. You see how it's starting to look like a beautiful bouquet? I'm going to put my dandelions in there. And don't forget, you know, to cut the ends. You've got to cut off the ends so the plant, it's just like with flowers, so the plants can get the water. Gorgeous, right? And even these little guys, I cut the ends off. And I'm going to stick them deeper down in the bowl. So they're definitely down in there. And of course, my beet leaves go in here. And because they're all cut at the bottom, then when you pull them out to juice with them in the morning, you don't have to do anything. You just toss them in the juicer. So if you've got to go on with your life, it's all ready to go. And again, look at the beautiful color that greets you in the morning when you come to do your juices or cook or whatever. So I'm going to now cover this in some saran wrap, or you can just cover sections. You can cover sections in Ziploc bags. I'm just going to cover it and dry it out. I love this salad spinner. It's so great because it has a, you can pull the bottom off to drain it. See? Well, I just pull this off. It's like fantastic. That's pretty dry. So the other trick here that I've learned is that you just take a paper towel, you lay it out, and you lay out all the lettuce. Now I usually work from the outside in terms of, so I'm going to save this for juicing, and I've already cut the end off, so I can juice with that. I'm going to juice with these. But I'm saving the inside. See, this leaf is a little bit older. You can see the edges are a little brown. So I'm going to juice those right away, pull off the top, because I'm about to do some juicing. So with all these other ones, you then just, again, roll them. I'm going to pull this off also. Roll them up in the paper towel. And again, they have to be dry. And if I get splitting like this, I'll just add another paper towel just to help dry things out a bit. And then you put everything into the Ziploc bag. You can do the same with all your other greens also. So now I'm doing this with the Swiss chard also. And I kind of will leave the ends out a bit in case they brown a bit. And then I can just chop them off when I'm ready to juice before I even open this. So I'm going to have these two share a bag. And I think I'm going to cut the end off that so it'll fit in better. So I've got both of them in there. And I sucked out a lot of the air. And see, I have the bottoms for this one here and the bottoms here. And I managed to fit them both in there. So, and I'm even spinning out my beet leaves in here. So this time I did a kind of alternating pattern so it doesn't bunch up as much. And I'm just going to roll it up. Now, this is a time when expensive Ziplocs can be very valuable. But for my budget, good enough. So this is how I just dried out my parsley and my cilantro, and this is how I am going to store it. What you do is, I've just done a bit of research, and you've got to keep them dry, and they can last for up to a month. So here we go, and then I'll just put each of them in a Ziploc bag. But you see, what I'm doing is I'm rolling them, and as I roll each one, there's fabric, or I guess paper, between each one as you go. And that keeps it dry because the refrigerator tends to collect moisture with these things. So, and now I'm just going to do the exact same thing with the parsley. So here goes the parsley. See, nicely spaced and rolling. Rolling. And you know what I think I'll do is I think I'm going to alternate. I think it might be an idea to alternate, like to alternate literally. I've just already started this, so. But that way the bouquet of it is coming out of either end and not just one end, and that may save it. And then I've got my Ziploc bags here. So Ziploc into the Ziploc bags, or no-name brand Ziploc style bags. When you seal up these bags, you're supposed to push all the air out because you don't want the oxidation to happen. That's relatively vacuum. So now I can put that in the fridge. Here's how I'm storing my potatoes. I've got yams, I've got cassava, I've got sweet potatoes, all in a nice dry basket, which is going to go up in my cupboard above my fridge, and that will keep them from sprouting. Then I've got my, all of my onion family stuff. So garlic, shallots, small onions, and large onions. So those are also going to go above my fridge. So that's my dry vegetables, and they're in baskets because they let the air pass through, and that way they won't sprout. They won't think they're underground. And I just keep the paper towel in there to keep it dry, and because I've cleaned them. I'm going to store my potatoes up here and my onions. And this way I can just quickly reach them when I'm getting into my fridge. And then in the fridge, I've stored everything else. I think I'm going to put these in. I have my herbs In here, herbs, hot peppers, things like thyme are in here. And I have my turmeric and ginger here. So more like herbs there. I have my beautiful lettuce leaf. This is actually what I put in all my salads. And I'm going to do a video on how to prep for everyday life in terms of salads. So this has got daikon, radish, carrots, and beets in it, which I'll plop onto one of my takeaway salads. And this is where I put all the fruits. It's got a different setting on it. And this is where I put all my vegetables. Of course, some of them are in bags. I put the carrots and the Jerusalem artichokes in, oh, and I've got a little stray guy in there, but in a Ziploc bag together. And what else do I have in here? Yeah, I also had the Jamaica, which I would probably mix with the carrots and stuff as well. It's also a prebiotic. And I sprinkled, some apple cider vinegar with garlic on it to preserve it. And almost make it into a probiotic in the fridge. Yeah, so I also put the cauliflower in here with other cruciferous. So this is just vegetables in here, accessible, but at least they're clean. And so I can start making, some of my foods that I'll be eating throughout the week. For example, the stuff I use to prep for salad. So this is something else that I'll be making for you guys in the future, which will be attached in another video. Prebiotics, probiotics. Well, this is prebiotics. It's the Jerusalem artichokes and the asparagus and so on. So that's another thing that I will just simply plop onto salads. When I'm making my bulk salad, I'll use some of these leaves. And this is greens and arugula and so forth. So I'll just throw those in a big container, plop on some of this, plop on some of that, and I'll have my dressing, like just a apple cider vinegar, garlic, and flaxseed oil dressing, and I'll take that with me to go. And it's pretty quick. I'll usually prep it the night before. So, and here, of course, is my lovely bouquet of asparagus. And this is just an empty space because I know I'm going to be putting something in there really quickly. So I hope this has been helpful to you. Thank you so much for watching Live Light Well, Eat Life.